Good afternoon. Welcome to Building Better Societies. You're here listening with Liz Charity. You have the opportunity to call in if you like. Today we'll talk about what mental health. I believe that we have a couple of young men in the studio, and especially with our friend Christopher Farmer. Christopher Farmer is working in the mental health field. And we're going to get some information from him, and especially about the men. You know what I'm saying, women? So y'all better stay tuned in and really call in and find out where all the men head at. Yeah, on mental health issues. Hello, Christopher. How you doing?
Good afternoon. I'm fine. I'm doing well. Blessed. Thank you for having me here, Miss Charity. How you doing yourself?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great, Christopher. I got you here. I'm talking to you. Hey, Christopher, give me some education background about yourself. Where are you from?
well, I'm from Hartford, Connecticut,
Mm-hmm.
originally. I have lived in Virginia or Richmond in previous years.
Uh-huh.
I have lived in Hartford from 96, or moved back to Hartford in 96
Uh-huh.
and moved back down here to Richmond
Uh-huh.
about 5 years ago in 2016. And
So
I went to the University of Connecticut, and my highest degree of education is a master's in social work.
a master's in social work.
Yes,
So you're working in your field, Christopher.
yes.
So what you do, Christopher?
Well, currently I work as far for mental health related, as far for that field or that in that aspect at this
Uh-huh.
point. I have experience as far as for violence prevention, intervention, crisis intervention, as far as for after school programs, treatment day programs, mentoring programs. So I have I've been well rounded in this field, and I've had a lot of great experience due to having great mentors and great experience in working with a lot of great people. And
So,
so
so
it's very
I want to
educational.
know. What I want to know is, does mental health runs in the family? Is that the reason why you decide to go?
Well,
I guess every
that
family,
could be,
every
that
family
could
got a
be.
little bit of, a little bit of, craziness in it. When you say,
Absolutely, everybody has some type of, as far as for shortcomings at times when it comes to mental health. And I
uh-huh,
mean, it's natural. And with the climate, as far for this society that we're living
uh-huh,
in this world,
uh-huh.
it's very easy to get for mental health symptoms to be triggered.
Okay.
If
So
you're
why did you decide to go into mental health field in the first place?
I just enjoy helping people. I've
Mm-hmm.
always wanted to help people in a lot of ways. I'm not sure how I was going to do it. Very lot of conflicts with what comes with helping people. Sometimes they come to thinking like I got to do something to make some money. I got to do something to make sure that giving people what they want.
Mm-hmm.
But really just wanted to not see people suffer. Wanted to see people have a chance and opportunities and a fair chance at life to be able to sprout into who they are meant to be and fulfill their purpose to their best potential without any hindrance.
So that's
Or
the reason why you went to the mental health field in the first place?
well, as far as social work overall, yes, but
Okay.
there are many
Okay.
dynamics and many hats to wear in that, and one of them is as far as for catering to mental health symptoms and those who are experiencing them and have challenges with them.
Okay. So does it help you to recognize other people's problems by knowing yourself? In other words, you know yourself, don't you, Christopher? I
Well,
bet you know yourself better than anybody else, right?
well, I hope I do. I definitely hope so. Aside from Lord Almighty or those who created me. But
Uh-huh.
absolutely, it's definitely very humbling experience too.
Is it?
And it's also a learning experience because you will learn things about yourself as you look how it is and really are able to observe and be hands-on with people who are experiencing certain challenges. You're able to look and really kind of measure like, wow, you're able to really count your blessings. That's why I say it's humbling because
Hmm.
a lot of people, a lot of us typically come in and have something to complain about. We always have our minor gripes and rifts and things, but there are very serious and detrimental situations that people are dealing with day to day and having to deal with them and endure them for years, a lifetime, as opposed to some of the things that we just, are trivial problems that we come across. And so it does make me, I'm able to count my blessings more. I'm able to look more in for positive aspects of things,
Hmm.
look for ways to be more productive, progressive,
Hmm.
and try to have that outlook on life in order to be able to indicate the rewards and the beauty of life,
Hmm.
and the essence of it overall.
Do you get any kind of reaction from individuals because you're a black man in mental health?
Sometimes I do, actually. Some, and I'm sure there are people that have reacted, but maybe they haven't verbalized it. But sometimes when people do meet me, like, this is going to be your counselor, and I show up, like, oh, they didn't expect me to be, as far for being a black man. And
Hmm.
but at the end of the day, I know how I keep it on common ground as far for meeting. We all have to meet at the human level, that's for sure, first and foremost.
Right.
And then even when it comes to dealing with as far for those that cater to a service, I'm no different from them either. We
Uh-huh.
we all have challenges. We all fall short of the glory. It's about how we cope with them and deal with them accordingly to be able to function to the best of our ability.
Oh, so I hear a little bit of spirituality in there.
Absolutely.
Oh, so you believe in a higher being.
Absolutely believe in a higher being.
You believe that a God created us all, black, white, Chinese, Hispanic,
He's created. Yeah, absolutely.
and all of us have one thing in common, right?
We all human. We all have to put on our pants one leg at a time. When you have those types of dynamics, and when you're able to keep at those commonalities, you're able to get over some of the, as far for some of the things that are just kind of um, non-relevance as far for existing, and really trying to pursue happiness in life and try to pursue satisfaction and fulfillment.
Okay. So do you believe that mental health plays a part in people's lives when dealing with prejudice, racism, and tell me, how do you believe they are the same and how they are different?
They are the same in a lot of ways because it's based off tradition, cultural history, and even as far for how sometimes those differences clash, as far for cultures,
Uh-huh.
meeting or interacting with other cultures.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are the things that kind of can hinder
Mm-hmm.
growth in that
Mm-hmm.
level. Um, More so, I would say that everybody is born with an opportunity to be the best that they can be. It's on how you're. I mean, we can't help how we're raised or how we're brought into this world, but in certain things that we learn, and even in learning ourselves, if we know what we want, if we know what we desire, if we know what's right from wrong, then we kind of know how to be able to navigate ourselves through this life and really still be able to be effective, and also just have as far as for a decent quality of life, everybody having an opportunity to be able to pursue that quality of life and enjoy it and have safety, security,
Uh-huh.
and as far as for being provided for, knowing that they have the opportunities to be able to provide for themselves and their families.
Tell me, how do the average black person react to you if you are, as it said, a black man and you're coming in, try to correct their mind or trying to do something with their mind? You know what I'm saying? In
Yeah.
other words, what kind of reactions do you get?
Uh, Sometimes, I mean, for the most part, I give many different reactions, and I mean, usually it's body language that you could tell.
Really?
A lot of times, how people will look at you or how they um, talk to you, how they will, as far as for address you in certain
Okay.
ways,
Uh-huh.
even the tone,
The tone of their
the tone of their
voice.
voice, even some of the language, the way that they do speak to you,
Uh-huh.
and it's like but I really don't really dwell on those things. More so, it's to where everybody has a conditioning. Everybody's used to dealing with certain type of people. Everybody's conditioned as far as how they deal with people, as far as how they come across them.
Uh-huh.
And so the most I can do is that I just know that for however you're imposing on me or coming across to me, or how you're trying to interact with me, this is before you met me. All is
In other words, you said, get to know me.
yeah, I mean, I'm not even gonna say that. It's so we're like,
Okay.
I mean, I'll just represent
Or
myself.
respect what I know.
Oh yeah, well, as far as just as certainly as respect my existence, respect that I'm
Yes.
here.
Yes. Okay.
And
Okay,
so,
that's good.
but then it's like to where if we're gonna be interacting, I mean, we'll try to find as far for common ground. Maybe we won't. Even
Hmm.
if we don't, then maybe we could talk about why we don't have common ground. Even if we can't see the purpose for one another, we can agree to disagree. But it doesn't give me the right to impose on what you're doing, and it certainly doesn't give anybody the right to impose on what I'm doing.
I like that. because, like you said, we got to come on common grounds. And if we both are looking for a cure of what's going on in our mind, is one thing that we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to be open minded.
Well, one of the things
We're
that
gonna have to pull down the prejudice.
yeah.
You're gonna have to pull down, and you definitely can't deal with the racial.
Well, as far as the environment is a big key.
Okay,
And
tell me
so
about that.
even when it comes to environment, I mean, we all could change our environment easily.
Okay,
And
how?
that's even to where one like we were talking about or discussing earlier, as far as for when we were talking about knowing self.
Yeah.
Now I know I want to be treated like royalty.
Oh, come on now.
And so therefore now I
Oh,
know
now, why do you feel like you should be treated like royalty?
because I made in the likeness and the image as far for the creator God Almighty. Who should be
Say that
who
again.
should made in the image and the likeness of the creator God Almighty.
All
The
right.
true and living original God.
In other words, you are royalty because you know the Most High King.
Well, I'm a representative of
You
that.
are a
I
reflection of
I'm
him.
a reflection of that. I am a product of that.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. But you know, most people might not think that way.
And even if nothing else, you have to know that there's value in self. That's if nothing else, there's value in self. I mean, we all have that potential. As far for God didn't put us here as far for without as far for a mistake. It's not an accident. We all have a purpose that we could fulfill, and even to where it's no different from as far for anything else that you qualify for, as far for whether it's school, employment, or any other industry or avenue, is to where you have to be able to make sure that you qualify for the position that you want. We all might want the position, but what are we doing to work towards earning that position?
Uh-huh.
And you know, dear Lord, you know, he has works in his works that need to be done.
Mhm.
And he's going to find, he's going to utilize whoever he needs to get that
Right.
work done. Now we might have the freedom of choice and will,
Uh-huh.
but we have the choice and the freedom to serve God Almighty, or as far for the betterment of humanity,
Yeah.
or we could serve the lower part of it, humanity.
Oh,
And which
and then who's that lower part?
the lower part is as far for our demonic and satanic side.
The demonic and satanic. What about people who don't believe there are demonic and satanic side?
I mean, that's up to them. I mean, you could also look. I mean, everything really is universal.
Explain that one.
I mean, they try to break as far for like how a lot of things are sectored off into sections. Everything is really of one, but we always separate it to where we always look at it. For instance, like you know, as far for chemistry,
Mm-hmm.
and then culinary.
Okay.
That's kind of the same thing
Yes.
because you're still mixing recipes, you're still mixing ingredients.
Ooh, explain it. That is good. The recipe.
So everything overlaps.
Okay.
It's about how you apply it. It's about how you're able to see it, and
Uh-huh.
where you're skilled and talented at, as far for how you're able to be most effective.
All right. All right. So you know that you are most infected because you already got the mindset that you're royalty.
Yes,
You already know who you know, and that is the God who made the universe.
that made us all. And in terms of where I feel as far for where I know he needs to be praised and worshipped, and where he
Uh-huh.
needs to be respected and honored, as far for how he's created what's around us, and as far for what he's instilled with us, as far for our sense of self-esteem, our sense of self-preservation, and our sense of needing to survive. All of those are attributes of him, and so those are what we exercise as far for we are entitled to those rights as well.
I love it. I love it. I believe we got a caller. Hello.
Hello, hey.
I can't
Hey,
hear.
how you
Gotta put on
doing?
headphones.
Oh, okay.
How you doing?
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
I
Oh, still don't
can't
hear anything.
We don't hear anything.
What happened? Hello? Hello?
Who's? Okay.
Hello, hey.
All right. I tell you what. Since you are a black man, right?
hmm
Do you think people categorize all black men the same way? Why or why not?
I mean, that's foolish if you do categorize black men in the same way, just like categorizing anybody in the same way. As far as the stereotypes, you know, everybody's an individual. Everyone, and I mean, you never know who you're meeting until you actually meet the individual.
Until you get to know them.
Right? We all
Okay.
have core similarities, common similarities that are all human,
Uh-huh.
and at times they are funny. You know,
Uh-huh.
they are humorous,
Uh-huh.
and you know, they sometimes they are true in a
Uh-huh.
lot of ways. You know, but
Uh-huh.
as far as for using it as far as to tear someone down, and to make them feel inferior. That's
Uh-huh.
where the problem is with that. There's nothing
Oh,
wrong with being different because that's unique. That's
yes.
being individual.
Yes.
That's what's supposed to have variety.
Mm-hmm.
But when you are sitting there and as far as for tearing someone down because of who they are, as opposed to where I mean, if you don't like what the person does, that's fine.
Uh-huh.
But you can't impose on that person. Once again, it's not right to impose on someone's beliefs, rights, or whatever. We can share as far for our ideas and what we believe,
Uh-huh.
and we can still learn from one another that way.
Yeah.
And you can still walk away with your beliefs. I can still
Right.
walk away with my beliefs, but I still probably still learn something from you that I can still apply to my beliefs.
Right.
And that's where even religion is kind of tricky too,
Uh-huh.
because all the religions have the same attributes as far for what you're supposed to be doing, serving God Almighty, as far for the attributes.
I like that.
And so as long as you're doing that, that's where you're being spiritual, and that's where you're being as far for holy, I would say in that
Yes.
sense,
Uh-huh.
as opposed to where it's about making sure that you follow through with certain traditions and as far for rituals that are meaningless and are just as far for being more of a doctrine as opposed to really being worship and far for everybody's existence.
Okay. So it doesn't matter as far as what, how would you say, all the different religions. It doesn't matter whether you're a Jehovah Witness or whether you are a monk or whether you are Baptist or
All, they,
whatever.
all they are titles.
They're
You-
just titles.
All
Now,
you either
I-
strive to be a good person or you're not even striving at all, or you don't even care about being a bad person.
okay. In other words, we all are made up of mind, body, spirit, and soul.
Yep, and we have free choice and will.
Okay. All
And that's
right.
what God is great at. Now, he gave us free choice and will. He
Yeah.
didn't always say it's going to go our way if we don't follow along with in accordance of what he has how he has programmed us to be at our best.
Yes.
Now, if we choose to be deformed, that's on us if we get those type of reactions or get the results we don't want.
Right.
But it's up to us to try to seek out as far for where to make the fine tuning
Yes.
to make sure that we are able to advance and
All right.
better ourselves.
All right. So tell me, what are some of the traits that you think all Black men might have?
Oh, well, one of the traits we are far from like we're all like everybody. We're children of God.
Children of God. That's the most
No.
important one.
Children of God, and we are as far for descendants. The descendants.
Say that again.
The descendants of God.
We're
As far
the
for
descendants of God.
even that's what
Okay.
they say when they say Aboriginal people.
Uh-huh.
As far for the people, the true descendants of God, people that were
Okay.
here before, as far for the society as we know it.
Okay.
So
Right. All right. I like that. I like that. So with you going, sharing your education background, I know you went to college,
Mhm.
and I understand that you also got a degree. What was your degree in?
social work.
Social work. So why did you pick social work? Was it because of your love for mankind? Because social, that's dealing with people.
Manifest destiny, preordained.
Say that again.
Manifest destiny and preordained.
Oh, I like that.
And well, I got so 2 points I gotta say.
What?
As far for I would not say. I mean, while the degree is good to have,
Uh-huh.
it helps me at least to qualify out here in this world. As
In this
far as,
world. Okay.
yes,
But what qualify
But-
you as far as God is concerned?
as far as for hands-on experience dealing with people.
Uh-huh.
There's no better education than hands-on experience in society itself. When you're actually hands-on dealing with people. I mean, in school they can give you some examples and case scenarios and give you as far as for like you have this problem or you have this situation. This is what you do for the situation.
Right.
But it's not like that. You have to deal with situations as they come across. Every
Right.
individual situation, every individual in the components of the life make up a whole different dynamic for how you approach a situation or deal with a situation.
Uh-huh.
And so even with that, that's where you have to make sure you are familiar with the even being as far as for current.
Mhm.
You can look in a book and see how people as far for 10 years ago, how a study went.
Mhm.
But if you're not familiar with the current, how people, the current state of how people are behaving and the
Right.
challenges that they have now,
Mhm.
then you can throw that textbook stuff out the window.
All right.
It's nothing. Because
right.
and then even to where you have the professionals who are in the offices that don't deal with the people or service the people hands on. Sometimes that gets tricky too because they're in the offices
Right.
and then they're just worried about filling quotas, budgets,
Uh-huh.
and as far for what the what legislatures want, as far for what fundings they might get, all these types of things, as far for those like coming to those as far for those dynamics, or should I say those ingredients, short of the right words right now, but those come into the play as far for what their objectives are. As to where, folks, you have folks that are on the front line more so, and you do have agencies and nonprofits that are at the core of servicing the people all the way up to administration. But then sometimes they're limited once again, based on politics being a big reason.
Right.
As far for conflicts within the community, as far for community activists. One thing I have learned, as far for when working in communities, as far for our people or inner city people, is the egos that can be, as far for that clash when members of the community are trying to come together and call themselves trying to work together at times.
Right.
But then it's like to where, this person can't get along with that person, this person can't get along with that person for whatever reason, based off years ago, based off of what they just did, based off of personal reason. They went to school together. I mean, so many things come into play, but yet it's like to where all those have to be left at the table, because here you are talking about coming to help a community and help people, but yet we can't even get along amongst ourselves is a big problem. We can't even come to the people if we can't even get it right amongst ourselves.
So the best thing to do is have that inner conference call among yourselves first.
Yes.
Before you go out there to try to help the other one.
Yes.
In other words, you all got to be.
You have to be unified. To be unified.
That's it.
Have to be unified.
You have to come together on a common ground.
Yes.
And what do you believe that common ground is?
Well, the common ground is if we all came together for this, let's say if there's a coalition, we all come together for the sake of, saving the community, or wanting to be able to assist our people in the community. Then we need to be able to make sure that we have a mission statement, vision, objective, and this is what needs to be what it's all about when all of us come together and come to the table. Now, if there are personal things going on, we could take time for those. Those will be set. Those will be taken care of as far for in a more appropriate manner.
In other words, what you're saying is, let's look at the overall big picture.
Yes, let's put the differences aside.
Put the difference aside, and we come on that common ground for the one reason that we're here.
Right.
And that one reason is to serve the people, to help the people, and to help them to be able to move forward in life.
Absolutely.
That's it. All right.
But we can't
move forward.
We can't help them move forward. We move forward ourselves.
That's right. In other words, we got to have unification right there within the circle before we can bring this other stuff into the circle.
Because the people could tell truth from hype.
Oh, yeah. All right. Hello.
Hi.
You got the headphones?
I got the headphones.
Can you guys hear me?
I can't hear anything though. Hello. Let's turn. Maybe we can turn that up. Okay. Anyhow, let's go to this one thing that we want to talk about. What are some of the traits that you think all Black men may have?
Well, melanin.
Say it again.
Melanin.
What is melanin?
Melanin is what gives us the color in our skin. It's as far as the pigmentation of our skin.
Okay. Okay.
It goes deeper than that, but that's one difference. Well, the thing is that once again, they say that as far as for, if you look at history, well, not so much as far for historians, they say that, the first human being, that far for the body being found was that of a Black person.
Okay. Okay.
And so, even as far as every time they go back, they find our descendants more so go back the furthest of years than any other, as far for any other people in this world.
This is what I want to know. A person, when they first see you, they could just go, "Oh, he's just another Black man." You're probably one of those ones who victimized. You know what I'm saying? He just a victim himself. But once they get to know you, what do you think? How do you think they would categorize you?
I'm not sure how they categorize me. I don't care how they categorize me. I'm me. And
I like that.
And then even to where, to be honest with you, I like that. I like the fact that I kind of like how I look or the demeanor I take on, if that's the demeanor I take on, because then I'm able to see the difference
Uh-huh.
and I'm able to notice like, oh, okay, and that helps me assess the person more better too. And so while they're sitting there sleeping on me and looking like, I'm sitting there just studying you.
I like that.
It's like,
Okay. We got that.
Yeah, so the question that we had from the caller who had a tough time fitting in was for Chris. It was, what advice do you give parents who are raising kids in the current COVID climate? So that includes growing pains, depression from social separation. What advice would you give to parents raising kids right now, especially Black kids?
All right.
mm,
Go
Well,
ahead. Go ahead.
wow, that is a great question.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I would say cohesiveness is definitely an importance in that case, because that social isolation is a big factor as far for human development and even to how as far for therapy. We need to be able to communicate. We need to be able to vent. We need to be able to express ourselves. And so not being able to do that right now in this time in the way that we want to, just gotta get creative as well, It's funny that we have the technology that we have to where you're able to call people, have get together, have gatherings in that manner. There's many different things you can do. You have to get creative, especially if you have technology. If you don't have technology, then it gets a little difficult, but it doesn't have to be. I mean, if you're good, like let's say if you have good relationships with your neighbors, these are the times where it really is getting to that point to where we are going to have to be more of a community and family oriented community.
Yes.
Because those are the times that's really coming to. I mean, we have it to where it's getting harder to, as far for feeling safe and secure in society without some random acts of violence happening, random acts as far for just crime period.
Right.
And so it is a time where we really do need to try to find ways to get together and implement as far as for what we would tolerate, won't tolerate in our communities. And this is how we are able to grow and build on family along those lines. But it's about getting over ourselves, getting over our attitudes, getting over as far for like, oh, I don't like that person, I don't deal with this person, I don't deal with those type of people, because it's not the time for that. Because even when it comes to as far for everything that we have as far for variety in this world, what we do is we don't take the variety and look at how we can use them inclusively. We look at variety as far as how to segregate people and sector them off, as opposed to where everybody attributes. Everybody has something to attribute as far as for gifts, talents, skills, But
I think the most important thing is we look at each other and say,
we see the differences before the similarities. Well, we see the differences before we see the similarities.
Yeah, but I think what we should do is this: know we are all human beings.
That's a great humbling point. That's where it starts at. That's where it should be.
We are human beings. We feel like you do. We have our difficulties like you do. We all have one thing in common is we got to learn how to work it out together.
Yes, that's true. But getting back to as far for the families and the children,
okay.
That is that's very challenging for parents right now because the children aren't able to be in school, So I mean, that's a whole 8 to 10 hours at least out of the day that you had somebody else that was able to at least help you out a little bit to where now, especially if you're a single parent, you have to be as far for call 24/7 pretty much.
So how do you deal with that? Because you deal with the children. And so how do you do that, Chris?
Well, once again, you have to get creative. I would say, like, for instance, if you got Google, you're able to Google everything. There really is no reason not to have access to anything. Google as far for curriculums, creative activities, things that maybe you want to teach your children, to where maybe you learn some of the things that maybe you guys have as far for workshops together, lesson plans together, games that include lesson plans together. You gotta get creative. Outside activities, and some of this will really, and a lot of this stuff will come with even bettering ourselves first and foremost, and setting an example for us to be something for our child to follow and have an idea of where they should be going.
That's great. I like that. In other words, we got to set the example for our children to follow.
It's no different from as far for the community coalitions. If we're not setting an example, then people aren't going to buy into it. They're not going to follow that, because it's like, we're like, what do I look like following you when you guys can't even get along? What do I look like to you? What do I look like sitting there as far as for cleaning my room when you won't even clean your room? What do I look like as far as for obeying the law when you just got arrested last night?
Oh my God! In other words, the family got set. The parents have to set the example.
Well, it's not only just the parents, but as far for the community, the family, the older, more even as adults, we as far for us elder folks that are my age, you know,
Mhm.
and folks that are coming up as far for becoming older, we have to become more responsible, more aware that we are the caretakers now. We are on guard. You know, we're on guard for um taking care and nurturing this, taking care of what's going on now in the world
Mhm.
and trying to make it better.
Mhm.
We are responsible for as far for the children, anyone younger than us, trying to make it better and teaching them how to
Mhm.
come up to make sure that they're able to survive and maintain the world and make it a better place as well. We are responsible as far for even our elders, our seniors, making sure that they have an easier transition into as far for their, you know, their elderly years
Mhm.
to make sure that they're able to enjoy
Mhm.
their life after the sacrifices for the ones that have made sacrifices for us to
Mhm.
make sure that they're able to reap the rewards and the fruits of their labor.
Right.
And so that's really what it comes down to as far for what comes to, I mean, that's what I look at personally, and that's what I've been taught and raised as far for what being a responsible
It's
adult is, as far for being a responsible member of your community, responsible member of your family, responsible, just a responsible person overall.
it's like putting the whole day into one. It's like a sunrise, and then there's the noonday, and then there is the setting of the sun.
It's like the four seasons. It's a cycle.
It is. It's a
Yeah,
complete cycle. And we
absolutely.
have to learn how to deal with each other in each cycle.
Well, we need to once again we need to understand where our role is at. 'Cause I think
Okay.
a lot of us don't think we have a role. You know, a lot of us
Uh-huh.
feel overwhelmed. 'Cause, I mean, you have a lot of things that are coming at us. You
Right.
know, there's so much. It's hard to pick what you want to do, who you want to be, how you want to be, because there's so much variety.
Hmm.
You know, I mean, and then even when attention span, you see this going on over here. It's
Hmm.
like it's easy to say I want to do this, lose focus on that. Once you see this over here, I want to do that.
Hmm.
You know, as opposed to being concentrated in the area where you're perfecting the craft. And then even when you perfect the craft, you'll be able, I mean, and that's one of the key things is just as far for perfecting one craft, you'll be able to go to something else and even master that even quicker because at least you perfected and mastered one trade to when you do go off to something else, you know as far for what some of the process is to make sure that you accomplish and become successful in that area as well that or whatever
Hmm.
next venture you choose to go on to.
Hmm.
And so it's about learning those skills and applying them as far for life skills to everything in your life the best that you can. Picking up more skills as you go along, of course, but they're just pretty much as far for the core stability, as far for where your strengths are, that you build off of those to become stronger, and then add on to that to make yourself more effective and more
In building those strengths,
productive.
that's when you begin to see how you can really reach that other person because you begin to educate yourself about yourself first, and then you can be able to reach into the other person because you know who you are.
Yes, and that's why I say education as far for personal experience is so
Uh-huh.
much more important than textbook education.
Okay.
Or as far for you know, as far for what they call formal education,
Mm-hmm.
because when you go through it yourself, you have it, and it's not only as far for out here, but you
Uh-huh.
have to carry this within.
Yes, it's a
It's
part of you.
yes,
It come a living part of you,
right,
by mind, body, soul, and spirit.
right, and so therefore you have an actual testimony that is genuine, authentic, that someone can relate to, as opposed to somebody that just came from somewhere and just started social, saying they want to help people, just got in social work, started studying books, and then just decided to go and be like, oh, I'm gonna go help people and start, you know, pulling out a textbook and start being like, well, this says you should probably do this for this problem or that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you know, if you're familiar with some of these issues, then you even are able to intervene with maybe some of these textbooks or have some, you know,
Mm-hmm.
don't necessarily have the complete answer. So you're
Okay.
able to intervene with that on personal experience. And then when the person is able to identify with your personal experience, that's where they're able to respond more. And that's where you even get more results because now they're able to see it and experience it as far for in the flesh to where like, okay, I can tell this person has been through it. Or now it's like to where they're able to really visualize it to where now they can feel it for themselves or believe it for themselves as well.
All right.
And so they,
This is what I wanted to get to. You as a black man, and say you're working with one of your clients, he happened to be a white man.
mhm.
So, what would be the first thing that you would really put your finger on and able to say help him in doing that?
All right. Well, my approach is whenever I come across clients, I give them a presentation of what I'm there for, what the services I provide or whatever I'm doing there and the capacity that I'm there for to help them. I explain that to them. And then what I do right after that is, now, what is it that you need from me?
All right.
I don't assume, I mean, there's assessments that are taken to where I'm able to, you could read the chart, read the
Chart.
file,
Yeah.
you're able to read what they've been through, but that's still not giving me, that's giving me an idea of what the person has been through and the experiences, but it doesn't even necessarily give the reason why all the time.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't give me why they initially always end up, and even to where sometimes they don't initially know why they're doing it, but it's to where you're able to now, you put them in the spot to where it's like, I need you to, in order for me to help you, you need to help me know you to how I'm going to be able to be most effective to you.
I like that. That is awesome. That is really good.
Thank you.
Because then what you're doing, you're really getting personal.
Yes.
You're getting personal and you get into their business and you begin to feel like they feel regardless of the difference
Well, it's
of
to
what's
where,
going on.
well, it's to where I'm here to provide a service as well.
Uh-huh.
I need to be a professional.
Yeah.
And not only that, as a professional, and I mean, this is to anybody as far for being an entrepreneur, consumer, or any lines of business, you always want to make sure that you deliver the best service. What do companies do? What do corporations do? What do they do? What does anybody that wants to know if they're delivering the best service? They give a survey. They want feedback. And so when when I'm introduced to a client, then I need feedback. What is it that you need from me? Now I see that they say maybe you might need some help in this area, but where do you feel that you need help in this area, and how do you feel like the best approach is? So based on that conversation, then I will make suggestions. Well, would you consider taking this approach or this intervention, or as far as for taking this approach to make sure that you're able to, achieve this goal or get connected to these services? Would you be willing to utilize these services, or do you need them in a different manner? And so it's about really, because a lot of things really comes down to as far for how the person's going to respond. We all have different ways of learning. We all have different ways as far for how we were raised as far for learning, or how we respond, react, or act to things. And so it's about learning those things as far for the person as an individual, as far for how they move, and in those instances, and what makes them move, so it can make my job easier. If I know what your motivators are, and if I know what your strengths are, then I know what I need to do to try to make sure to get the best results out of you, to make sure that you're meeting your goals.
Okay.
And
what I want to know, when you see a patient, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
When I first meet a client, I just feel like be ready for anything. Be ready for anything.
Be ready for anything.
Because you deal with a really wide range of a population of people. And so you never know who you're coming across. And then you got to also make sure that you're being mindful. You're dealing with a lot of people who have traumatized, who have negative experiences, who really have difficulty transitioning as far as for, into society in certain ways, And so you never know who you're going to come across. You might have to, but you have to be, you really have to be alert. It's always about being aware, It's always coming with the best intentions, but you still also have to be alert. And so with that, it's like to where, and the thing is just as far as for just hoping that it goes well, just hoping that I'm able to help the person, hoping I'll be effective. Because there's times when, I might not be able to correspond with the person. The person might not be able to correspond with me. In that case, that's no problem, because, and now sometimes I'll bow out to where it's like, I can see that I'm not really doing anything for you. So, maybe you need to possibly work with somebody else, because maybe they need a different approach. Maybe my approach isn't what they need. And so it's about finding the most perfect fit in that case.
That leads up to my next question. What kind of stress did you experience as a Black man in receiving your master's degree in social work?
No, I haven't received any stress. Like I said, I didn't plan for that. I guess that did bring me back to a point I did want to express, as far as for not expecting or really having a blueprint plan for how my life would turn out. I know what I wanted, but I never knew how to get there. When I went to high school in Connecticut, had to see the guidance counselor. She was like, "Have you ever considered college?" Like, no. She's like, "Well, maybe you might want to. Would you would you consider if you could? I'm like, sure. So she's like,
Uh-huh.
okay. So I applied, got into some UConn, or got into quite a few, but I picked UConn and like, okay, cool. So did that. After I graduated from, got my undergrad degree, I went to work. I was working at UConn, but I wasn't continuing my education at this point.
Mhm.
And then I just happened to be working, go by the School of Social Work building. And Black women have been a key figure in my life as far for advancement. Because my guidance counselor, she was a Black woman, and she was the one that asked me that question and introduced that opportunity to me.
Right.
And then even in School of Social Work, I just happened to be working. I went by School of Social Work, and then I think she was the director of finance and admissions. Very intelligent and as far as a very professional Black woman. She just happened to ask me one day. She's like, because I guess she sees me every day, and so
Mhm.
she just happened to ask. She's like, do you have your on your undergrad degree by chance? I'm like, yeah, I do. She's like, what is it in? I was like, English. She's like, have you ever considered getting a master's? And once again, like high school. No. She's like, well, would you consider it? Yeah. And so, she helped me out to get in and everything. So that's how I got into that. And then, so that's pretty much how I went as far for my education. And anywhere I go, like any opportunities I get, is to where I'll see I'll see if there's the opportunity there possibly, or someone might, as far as for introduce the opportunity to me, and I will go there
Uh-huh.
if it seems like something. Then usually that's how that's how things build as far as those type of blessings and being navigated in that way. And then as far as for, I have a lot of great people who have also just been there,
Like mentor you.
mentor me, yes, and
I-
even strong, and then
uh,
strong Black
who
men
was-
at that.
It's strong Black men.
Strong Black men,
Well,
yeah.
tell me one of the main things that one of the strong Black men taught you.
Oh man, there's so many.
Give me one, then give me two, then give me three, but start off with one.
All right, well, one is my father, that's for sure.
Uh-huh.
And the one thing that he said is, the only superstar I know is myself.
Oh wow, I like that. So that means that if you already got in your mind
Yeah,
that you're a superstar,
yeah.
you're gonna work for it.
Well, it's to where it will make you know that it will make sure that you know that you're deserving of respect.
Uh-huh.
It's to where you're deserving of being who you want to be and doing in the fashion that you want to do it.
Uh-huh.
And as far, most importantly, as far for not being a follower but more of a leader.
I like that.
So it's
Yes,
like,
yes.
it's to where,
Because see, when you are but you got to learn how to follow first.
well, it depends on knowing what to follow.
You got to learn again. You got to learn how to follow first, which means you don't want to follow somebody that could lead you to a deadbeat. You want to follow somebody who can lead you to greatness.
And that's if and that's if that's what you know what to look. That's if you're even conditioned to know to look for that and seek that and want that.
But that's one of the things that we gonna have to teach.
Yes.
Out.
As far for that self-esteem has to be built up, because even culturally in this country, they say as far as we're making, as far as for improvements on race relations and things of that nature, but there are still a lot of things culturally in this country that still are attached to racism.
Right. Give one.
Well, for instance, let's just even look at as far for what they call the classes. Now, as far as for even how you have the inner cities, most poor people, unfortunately, are people of color. Now, in this society, unfortunately, it's even not for everybody at this point, though.
Do you think that there's a lot of white who are poor? You just don't hear about it.
Oh, well, there are plenty, absolutely. But all right, so I'm going to try to answer the first question, and this is why I'm going to bring it back to the perfect example as far for how mental health does play a role.
Okay.
And as far for how we as far for our trajectory upon one another. So, for instance, I'm gonna bring it back to slavery. For instance, now how this country was built is what made it the greatest country is because of free labor. Now, if you have free labor, everything's for profit. So now you're able to build more. You're able to have more room to build and grow the way that you want to. Now, that's what this country has the ability to do, while we reaped nothing of that at the time. We didn't even, as far for while they were building up, we were being torn down mentally, spiritually, in all types of ways, as far as to accommodate, as far as for those who were in power that wanted to seek power and keep power, as far as for making sure that they produce as far for an inferior race and superior race.
Right.
And so over the course of years, that's what we still have to deal with now. That type of
Right.
those type of mental health symptoms right there alone, as far as that inferiority sense,
Yeah.
that sense of inferiority, you
Mhm.
know?
But one of the way that we can really put ourselves equal
Hmm.
on that level
Yeah.
is we know a God
Yeah.
who created all of us.
Yep.
And when we are made in his image,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter what they think.
Right.
It doesn't matter how they even treat us.
Hmm.
Because with the grace and mercy of God, he can be able to elevate us in his way, and they can't do nothing about it.
Yep. And that's what folks forget. It's not about the numbers.
Yes.
It's not about the quantity. It's about the quality.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Yes. And we have to come up with a station break identification.
All
and
right.
you have been listening to WRWK 93.9 right here on your radio dial. And very soon we are going to be having a TV show that will be coming out of this. We're going to have a TV show, and it's called, what is it called? Dawn Rising. Dawn Rising. Dawn Rising means that there come a time in life that you have to go forward. You have to go on a journey, and we're talking about that journey now. And that
Amen.
means going on that journey, you have to go through the struggles.
Woof. Talk about it. Yeah.
You have to go through your distress and the hard places in life. But you have to make sure that you never give up. You have to make sure that no matter what, you're going to succeed in meeting that dawn.
Absolutely.
And that dawn is just before the breaking of the light.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Just before light breaks, just before you get that answer. And when you get that answer, you be done rise and overcome the dawn rise in your life.
Amen.
And that's what we're going to be reducing. And we're looking for individuals who want to be a part of Dawn Rising. It is aired every other Sunday on CWNBC Channel 12. So if you'd like to be a guest on Dawn Rising, give us a call or contact us. And you can be a guest on Dawn Rising.
And what is that contact info?
That contact info is 571-314-7503. Again, that contact information is 571-314-7503. Because we want the dawn to rise in your life. We don't want you stuck in a hard place. We want you to know that we serve an almighty God who go above racism, who go above all of the technicalities that people use to try to keep you down. We got a God that can rise us up. And you can, baby, learn how to do it through Dawn Rising. Because we trust and we believe in an almighty God that can change your life on a split inch. All you have to do is believe and trust in him.
Yep. We his vessels.
We his vessels. You got where you are because of what?
Because I say blessings by Lord Almighty's far for beyond my understanding in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
As far as for where I know, as far as I know, there's a higher power. Once again, I had great support. He put angels as far as for his vessels, and as far as for making sure that instilling in me, as far as for be able to express to me and to instill in me, as far as for the principles and morals and values that help me to be able to function as, a decent human being.
Oh, and by the way, Dawn Rise is aired every other Sunday on NBC Channel 12 on what we call that station? NBC Channel 12. Oh my gosh, I done hit.
WVIT?
Huh?
Is it WVIT?
No, it's NBC Channel 12. CW.
Oh, okay.
CW. We getting it there. CW, NBC Channel 12. And it comes on every other Sunday. In fact, it will be coming on next Sunday at 3:30. So tune in to Dawn Rising.
And what is next Sunday? Next Sunday
It's August the 1st.
Okay, all right.
August the 1st. August the 1st. And we are moving forward. We are moving right on down.
God willing.
Yes, indeed. It is Him who give us the strength and the wisdom. It is Him who enable us to do great things. We always say that we are more than a conqueror.
Hmm.
Being more than a conqueror means that you don't let the hard places stop you from going where you need to go. That means that when you get weak and you can have nowhere else to go, you can always turn to Almighty God who reach down there, pull you up, and move you in the right direction.
Gotta get in that toolbox.
Say that again.
Gotta get in that toolbox.
Got to get in that toolbox.
Because life is always gonna be hard and difficult. But I mean, that's what it's so important, and that's why it's important as far for teaching these children how to survive. Because that's what it's about, survival skills. Because I mean, we're against a lot of odds. That's just how it's supposed to be. You know, as far for adversaries, you know, things in this world and challenges to be able to overcome it, as far for what it is, as far for life being a learning experience overall, is to where, at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, when you lay your head on your pillow, you thank God for getting you back. It's to a safe place.
Well, we got that too, but we got to make sure that we have, as far as for certain things that we able to refer back to build ourselves back up, to revitalize ourselves,
I like
to refuel, you know, to recharge.
Ooh, and that's what we do need to do,
so
because we can't go and go.
You have to have some foundation, something that you can refer back to get centered, you know, as far as for grounded, to be able to come back out here and fight the fight. The fight can become overwhelming. Sometimes you got to take a step back and you just got to gather yourself. But, you know, as far as make sure that you have the proper tools to build yourself back up while you're doing that and come back as far as for being stronger or still as effective as you were.
I want to know, Christopher, what are the proper tools?
The proper tools, well, definitely, like you said, like spirituality is one of them.
Okay.
You know, you have to believe in a higher power, higher being, or you have to at least understand as far for knowing yourself, as far for being a representative of that higher power, higher being, to know that you're capable of being, as far for being great. And so once we recognize that, and as far for our own abilities to be great, then, you know, it's about seeking how we're going to be great, or even just taking the opportunity to appreciate others who are great, to learn how to be great.
If I'm not mistaken, one of the scriptures in the Bible said, I can do all things through Christ.
Amen.
Who strengthened me.
Yes.
So that when you say, when you get to that hard place, when you don't know where to go, when you down on your knees and you just need a helping hand.
Yeah.
You know,
on the edge. Yeah.
On the edge.
Yeah.
It was like, at that particular moment, it's like God could send somebody to just make a phone call.
That's how merciful and great He is. And if anybody can attest to that, then, you know, some people, I guess, can't testify to it. Maybe they haven't noticed it. But I know for myself, I've been in some sticky situations and some crazy predicaments that I know that were beyond out of my control of getting out of. And as far for, you know, the blessings that have come to me to be able to deliver me from those things, it definitely has to be something that's outside of me, and to where, as far for in favor of looking out for me and have my best interests at hand. And then that's where faith comes in. And even as far for, if nothing else, we all know that we all got that date. There's one date we all can't avoid, but it's about what you're going to live by and die by and do in between that time.
I like that. I like, and
making it worth it.
You sound like a very wise young man.
I'm about to be actually, matter of fact, I'll be 40 this upcoming month.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, you sound like a very wise young man. You don't look 40.
Oh, thank you.
But you are a blessing. I can see how God do use you in those, like I said, in those social cases.
Yes, man.
Yeah, because you are full, I said, full of wisdom, even at your age. You're full of wisdom, and you speak and you talk like somebody who really care.
Absolutely. And I mean, I've had a lot of great mentors. You are looking at their product of their works on me.
Okay.
You know?
Give me one mentor.
I can give you many.
Give me one. Well, I bet you one of them is your grandma.
Like I said, definitely, as far for my grandmother.
Tell me about your grandma.
My grandmother is a very loving woman. You know, she has always looked out for me. She has definitely been my guardian angel from birth. You know, as far for had a rough upcoming in certain ways,
Uh-huh.
between my parents, things were difficult. My grandmother, she always made sure that she tried to take my sister, myself, and my brother out the mix as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Between her and my grandfather, they were kind of more, I would say, our parents in a lot of ways, as far for having the stability,
Mm-hmm.
giving us as far for the values and the morals, and as far for the
Mhm.
things that used to build up our community and used to build us up as individuals. I
Mhm.
think I get a lot of that from I've learned a lot from my elders. I really
Mhm.
get I find them more fascinating and appealing, and it's because they get the wisdom, because I really believe in to where, even yourself, like, you older than me, I can only pray to get to where you're at, you know
Mhm.
and then it's like it's only in my best interest to understand you, to see how you got there so I can make it there, you
Mhm.
know. So I mean, if I've come across a person that's 120 years old, I want to have a conversation with them,
I like
because
that.
I want to know what they did to get to that point, or even as far for how they, and even how they persevered, because that would be a lot.
Mhm.
Anybody that's lived over 100 years, that's a lot. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of change.
That
There's a lot of people
is
that you started out with that are no longer here. It's
right.
probably basically a whole nother new world.
Right.
And so it's like, but why would you still keep it on? What makes you keep on?
Right.
Why do you keep going on? What keeps you as far for full of life? What keeps you really as far for active? And so
Mhm.
those are the type of people I like to talk to. And as far for those who are, I mean, one, that's another thing my father taught me. If far for the people that you look to and follow, or that you're hearing and listen to what they're saying, look
Mhm.
at them, watch them, and see if, even if what they're saying matches up to um what you're seeing matches up to what they're telling you.
Mhm.
And then to where, if you like what you see,
Mhm.
because based on that, to where that you can determine whether that's a person that you should be taking advice from or not. Not to say
Mhm.
that's bad, because I mean, maybe I want to play basketball. Maybe the person I know is a football player, great football player, but he can't help me learn basketball. So I need to go
Right.
find a great basketball player to help me.
Right.
You know?
Right. I want to ask you this question, and this is about mental health and the black man.
hmm
What is the first thing you think about when I said mental health and the black man?
Crises,
Say that again.
crises.
Why?
Well, because it's as far for watching the deterring of somebody, watching the deterring of a people, watching the deterring of, as far for someone not living life, possibly watching The Walking Dead. A lot of us are The Walking Dead. I mean, that's just everybody. Period. We sit here and we get caught up as far as for a lot of things that are artificial, things that aren't real. We get caught up in the technology. We get caught up with materialistic things. We don't focus on, as far for um, we focus on building up ourselves as far for status, but we don't really think about as far for building. And I mean, this is everybody, not even just black men, and even to where, like, none of us black men definitely have a lot of time to sit there and think about to study ourselves, because of
Mhm.
some of the opportunities that some of us aren't don't
Mhm.
have the opportunity to take advantage of. But nonetheless, it's to where everybody has a chance, or needs a chance anyways, to be able to express their full potential.
Mhm.
And so it's a crisis when, as far for being a creation of God, and then to be either looked at as viewed as inferior, or even viewing yourself as inferior, is a sin.
Say that again.
It's a sin.
No, say the whole thing again.
As far for people looking at it, as far for somebody viewing another person as inferior, or even feeling inferior about yourself, is a sin.
Because he said we were made in his
His
image.
image and his
So if
likeness.
we are made in his image and his liking, there's nothing inferior about
So
that.
when we don't love ourselves, we don't love God.
Whoa! You say that again.
When we don't love ourselves, we don't love God.
Because we are made in God's image.
Yes, His likeness and His image.
So in that reason, that's the reason why when we love ourselves, we can be able to project that love to others.
Yeah,
And we can be able to say, reach down and pull them up to where we are.
yeah,
And they won't be able to pull us down to where they are.
yeah. We give
And you know what? That value a whole lot more than what money can't buy.
absolutely, you can't.
Money can't buy that.
Well, I'll tell you, the most valuable thing I found is peace of mind.
Yes,
Peace of
that's true.
mind.
That's true.
You cannot beat that. I mean, to be able to know that you able to go home and lay your head down at night and not have to look over your shoulder or be sitting there stressed out about doing something wrong or doing something you're not supposed to, or
Uh-huh.
even having to end up somewhere that you don't intend to, like,
Uh-huh.
is a blessing. And as far for knowing that you haven't come out here and done something wrong to somebody, worrying about that they're gonna come back
Mhm.
after you, or
Mhm.
it's like to where, I mean, we all make mistakes and things, but to
Mhm.
where, as far from making intentional faults
Mhm.
against people,
Mhm.
as
Mhm.
far for making sure that you are living in honesty with yourself, living in honesty with others, you
Mhm.
know. And so with that, when you keep it on, when you lay it all on the table in that aspect, you're able to have a peace of mind at the end of the day.
Yes.
If you're able to live by your action and you're satisfied with the person who you are, and
Right.
so
So this is what I want to know. Why do you think that black men doesn't like to admit that they have problems?
I wouldn't say that's just black men. That's all men in a lot of ways. And I mean, even to where it's just a lot of people who have a lot of pride, full of pride and ego, and want to seem strong. And usually, those are the people that are the most hurt.
You say that again. Hey, that need to be said again.
But yeah, I mean, there's a sense that no, there's a sense that you have to come out here with this, as far for this, uh, as far for coming out, as far for machismo, even
Mhm.
as far for I'm strong, I can't be broken, I can't be touched, I'm
Mhm.
indestructible, I'm immortal, I know what I'm
Mhm.
talking about, I know what I'm doing, I can't
Mhm.
do no wrongs,
Mhm.
I know what I'm talking about. You're wrong,
Mhm.
those types of things. Everybody kind of, and it's easier to get in that way nowadays, more so, like I said, because you have so many different things to look, so many different subjects, so many different approaches to life, so
Uh-huh.
many different just so many different exposures to life overall, and how the experiences are, to where people might be easily converted to one way of thinking,
Mhm.
and then somebody else converted to another way of thinking, to where when we cross paths, we're
Mhm.
so caught up in our own world that we don't even want to explore the other world.
Mhm.
We can't even share worlds now, because I'm not even open to your world, you're not open to my world, possibly.
But the beauty part is when you are aware of each other worlds
It makes it
and where you can baby learn from each
it
other.
makes it a bigger world
It does. It
and
make
more
it a
interesting.
yeah bigger, and it's more healing too.
Yes, it
You,
can
you, you
be.
see what I'm saying?
It can be.
Because every everybody can either can help you be healed, or either they will damage you.
Yes.
And so when you are open minded and you do have the love of Christ in you, then you can be able to identify with that person's pain and what
Hmm.
they're going through. And then that's when the two of you can come in agreement and pray over that situation,
Yeah.
because we're on the same level then.
Yeah.
In other words, we're on this level and we're reaching up to bring God to pull
Into
us
the
up to
picture.
where
Yep.
He is, and was where two or three touch and agree.
That's where the Holy Trinity is made.
Yeah, and God in the center of it,
Because he brought
that's
us to
when the problems can really get
where two or
solved.
more in the midst. Where two or more
Yes.
gathered, he is in the midst.
Miss.
Yep.
Yes. And we are praying and touching on the same thing.
Yep.
Then that means that that problem that you was focused on, so your focus,
Yes.
somebody else come in, and then God be in the center of it, then that focus will be on God instead of the problem.
Yep.
And then He can give us the answer that can be able to benefit everybody who's involved with it.
Right. Because I might have a problem that's been on my head for the longest, and then all of a sudden, like, you come along and it's like, oh, what's going on? Like, we just meet, and then you tell me this, that, and like, I'm like, yeah, man, but I just gotta get over it. Like, and you might just say, like, oh, that's an issue. Like, oh, like, let's say for instance, like, you're trying to find a job. Like, oh, well, I could probably refer you over here. So
Mhm.
like, oh, really? Okay.
Mhm.
Like, that was no big deal for you to do. And then
Yeah.
maybe in your case or something, like, man, I got my car is broken down. I need somebody to repair it. Or I don't have a
Mhm.
mechanic. I might be like, oh, well, I know somebody that can fix your car pretty reliable.
Yeah.
And so it's about those things, to where we able to
And
build, as
that's
far for sharing resources, to where we able to be more
that's
enriched,
it.
to
That's
be
it.
more enriched, to where we are able to have as far as to have access to making sure that we are accommodating our needs and wants.
But there's the one main thing is the humbleness.
The humility, yeah.
Yeah. The humility,
Mhm.
being humble.
Oh yeah.
But when you think that you know it all, you got it all together,
That's when you don't know nothing.
and that's when you close so
that's
many
when that's
doors.
when you just forgot everything. Now you know nothing. Because it never stopped learning. The
You're
experience never
right.
stopped.
You don't. You
You
don't
know?
ever stop. You don't ever stop learning.
Always grow off of it.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
and it's-
I and what I like is I like listening to little children.
oh yeah.
I can learn so much from listening to them because they're so innocent.
Well, they're the closest thing. They're closest to God because they come in here into this world until they're influenced by the ways of this world.
Yeah.
But that's really the true essence of God right there.
Yeah. It could be they haven't had the chance
Yeah,
to
they haven't
get
been influenced.
polluted.
They haven't been influenced yet.
Yeah, and get polluted by the wrong things.
Yeah.
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 And it I've seen to grow when I'm talking to the little children.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same, it's that same way. When that openness.
Yeah.
Things that are so genuine and for real.
Yeah, they're authentic. They haven't been taught to lie yet.
Yeah.
They're not sure as far from what we consider as far from what civil standards
Mhm.
or social standards. They haven't learned all those as far as that type of stuff that come with that etiquette that conflict with being yourself or being true to yourself.
Mhm.
And so those types of things interfere. So children, they don't have those filters yet,
Right.
and so they're able to just express themselves freely,
Right.
because their ideas and their actions aren't necessarily threatening anybody else yet.
Yeah.
And so, but even at that time, though, they're in programming for as far for this public educational system.
Uh-huh.
One thing I do have to say, I wish I went to a trade school before college.
Why?
Because while it's good as far as forget that type of education and knowledge, the thing is, even with this country itself, it doesn't produce anything anymore.
So that's what I wanted to tell you. That's what we have going on at the Chess Bus.
Okay.
Community Health and United, building better societies. I think you see that up on their Chess Bus.
Oh,
That's the name of our facility that we have.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, and that's what we are actually teaching the students, as you would say, trade school.
Okay.
This is where we're teaching them to be business entrepreneurs. We're
Yes.
teaching them about construction.
Yes.
We're teaching them about
Electricians. And
Yes, all of that
plumbing.
is that is going right there at the Chess Bus, right there at that house.
Yep.
And that's where we are teaching them how to run a TV station, a radio station.
That's excellent.
All of that is
Excellent.
coming right under that umbrella.
Wow.
And we're looking for individuals who want to be able to help us
Okay.
put that all together.
Yeah.
We in the Chess Bus, we actually have where you can be able to do sewing.
Oh yeah. That's
So,
Alright.
there's we have a
put the
coffee
gap
shop.
out. Put the gap out of business.
Yeah. A coffee shop.
All
Uh-huh.
right. There you go.
Uh-huh.
That's what I'm talking about. There you go.
Yeah,
That's-
we are teaching our young people how to own and operate their own business at the Chess Bus.
And that's what it's going to take, more of that type of initiative. I mean, that's the thing. The one thing I'll give it as far for the youth nowadays, as far for the technology and
Mhm.
how they have gotten so creative as far for making, revenue through the computer, through
Yes.
technology.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so, I mean, that's phenomenal. And so it's about really being able to really keep hands on them, because making sure that they are able to grow with it in a productive way, in a better way,
Yes.
or be mindful of more so of how they do it.
Mm-hmm.
And because I mean, they basically able to get, they're able to get money apparently online, but I'm not sure if you're familiar with some of the, as far for what some of the folks, as far for especially in the entertainment industry,
Mm-hmm.
I've watched a couple of current rappers, and so I was looking at some of their videos, and I guess they
Mm-hmm.
like the rappers, they're coming more popular through YouTube and as far for online streaming and as far for their material,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how they promote themselves. They don't need record labels, so they're able to just take all the money,
Mm-hmm.
But as far for what they're doing with it is a different story.
And see, that's what
As
we
far from not
want.
having
That's what we
the
want
proper
to-
financial education
Yes.
behind it.
Yeah, and that's one of the things we'll be teaching about finances.
That's excellent.
See,
That's a
see,
that's a
my
very important one.
background is corporate America.
Oh, really? Okay.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah, my background is corporate America,
Do you
and
do financial consulting?
well, yes, I can.
I might be coming to you for that.
Because one thing we're gonna have is teaching about finances,
Yeah.
how to start their own business.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
that entrepreneurship.
That's important because
Yes.
that's really what it's going to take as far as for being able to produce our own.
Yes.
Because the thing of the society we've gotten away from, or I guess even going back to, I'm not sure. I mean, definitely before my time, but to where I guess what maybe was it the 50s or 60s
Mhm.
when America started production started
Mhm.
slowing down,
Mhm.
and then as far for importing things.
Mhm.
And so now we don't have any products going out that we could sell to anybody. Countries apparently in debt. They're trying to attach as far. I mean, I am an American. I live in America, but I don't make the decisions for American.
Mhm.
The country as a country for America. So I do not put myself as far as for necessarily in that boat because if my opinion counted, then
Mhm.
I'd have more of a vested interest in that. All I know is how to take care as far for what I'm surrounded by as far for my community, which is far for myself, my family, my friends, as far for those just anybody I interact with, as far for
Mhm.
creating
By the way,
yes.
we actually have shares of stock that we are selling.
Oh really?
Mhm.
Oh okay.
So if you want to be able to,
Uh,
buy some shares in
how much to share?
it's $4.
That's pretty good.
Uh-huh.
What's the maximum share you could buy?
We have to discuss that.
Okay, all right.
We'll discuss about that. Okay.
All
And
right.
if you, in fact, that's what we want our students to learn how to be able about investing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Investing, creating their own products,
Yes.
and then having other people to buy into what
Buy
they're
into
doing.
buy into their
Mhm.
invention. Yeah, that's brilliant. I've
Yeah.
tried it. Well, I mean, I still dabble the stock market a little bit, but I try to experience it,
Uh-huh.
experiment in it.
Uh-huh.
Probably. I mean, I would like to get more involved in it, but I have been dabbling. I have. I mean, as far as being able to assess what to buy, when to, and
Mhm.
when to sell,
Because
when to buy and when to sell.
that's one of the things that our young, and especially young Black children, they are not really taught about that stock market.
Oh no, like, and that's the thing too. Like, as far from my public education, like, I could say as far from amongst my peers for the most part. If you went into an inner city school, more so, as far from the ones I went to, anyways,
Mhm.
it was like the teachers, even for those that wanted to teach, they had to teach as far the way that they had to teach. They had almost had to teach it like it was a as if it was an intervention, because everybody would just act out in class. The teacher couldn't teach a lesson as far for the curriculum. So therefore, now we're getting promoted in grades and we're not knowing the materials that we're supposed to. So even that's one reason why I never thought of going to college, because I definitely was far from prepared for it as far for education academically wise. And that's what's happening too. So like, we go to school, you got folks acting out in class all day long, and all you gotta do, even if you don't give the teacher a hard time, all you gotta do is just make sure you don't give the teacher a hard time. You're gonna get a good grade, and they promote you. And now you're still going through the process, but you're still not building or developing. So by the time you get to even, let's say, as far from maybe the 10th grade, 11th grade, where math starts really getting harder, certain subjects, science may be getting a little harder, to where now it's just like, I don't even know any of this. It's all looks completely foreign. So I'm either drop out or I'm definitely not considering college after this. And so those are things that kind of stagnate us in that sense too, as far for having quality educational programs that teach us skills, and the most quality skills as far for really mathematics and science.
Right.
History and English, I mean, you definitely need to know to speak the language. You need to know how to communicate that more so. History is just somebody else's story as far as this, this country goes. So that's up for debate. But mathematics and science, and as far for even computer science, now those are the topics that really need to be pressed. And as far for those curriculums need to be more organized and geared towards, as far as for the youth in inner cities, to make sure that they are able to be in a as far for competing space for as far for opportunities, and being able to be successful and to be able to dream outside of just their neighborhood, outside of just their city or whatever the case is, to know that they can go and explore and not even be afraid to explore. Because I have a lot of friends that are afraid to even leave Hartford just because there's not never really considered outside or just focusing on experiencing new things.
Right.
They get comfortable in that atmosphere,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're just stagnated by the fact like that's all there is. This is all there is, and so.
Right.
And I mean, it happens everywhere. I mean, it's happened here to where I'm sure there are people here that I went to school with that are probably same as some of my friends in Hartford. You know?
Right.
So,
Right.
but
And you have been coming up for another station break identification. You have been listening to WRWK 93.9 FM on your radio dial. We ask you to just, hey, right now, I think the calls are not coming in, but you have the opportunity to just say, send us a text or send us something to be able to say what you got on your mind. And would you like to become a part of, say, building better societies? Would you like to be a guest here? Would you like to learn more about our opportunities we have in selling our shares of stock? Of course, we are not going public at all private. So you would have to get in contact with us in doing that. And it's where we are teaching our young people how to be businessmen, how to be a businesswoman, how they can be able to achieve and do great and mighty things. Be things that say go beyond even limitation. We don't put a limit on what God can do.
amen.
We don't.
Yeah, we can't even fathom.
That's it. That's it. Because with him, all things are possible.
More than we can
It
even dream
doesn't
or
matter.
imagine. Yeah.
Huh?
More than we
It-
can even dream or imagine.
It doesn't matter. Everything is possible with our God.
Amen.
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 Amen. Because we are made in his image.
Yeah.
And when we are made in the image of the Most High God, that means that opportunity, things are unlimited.
We have that potential.
We have that potential.
Yeah.
Look, if a human being can't do it, he sent an angel.
Yep. I mean,
When you stay in his will,
yeah.
You have to see it. I think a lot of people think he's the mean old God to stand up and punish you for everything you do. But no, we got a loving God.
Yep. We just got to make sure that we exercise and exercise his attributes to activate the blessings. It's no different from a computer programming.
Say that again.
We got to make sure that we exercise the attributes to activate the blessings.
In other words, we got to walk in faith.
Walk in faith. We got to
Love.
walk true in our works. And I mean,
Mhm.
prayers without good works is what they say as far as for prayers without good works go unfulfilled, or
Yeah,
I forgot how they say it, but it's to where you got to pray, but you got to also put some work in too. You got to make
you
an effort,
do. You really do.
And that's another thing too, because that's why I say God is great at too, on so many levels, because I've desired it, and it's I would pray on it, just being like, dear Lord, if I could just get this opportunity, or
But you see,
or if I could see this, or if you could allow this to happen,
mhm.
and not knowing how it's going to come about, but prayer is real. You gotta
Prayer
understand,
is for real.
we are satellites ourselves.
We are.
We speak things into existence.
That's it.
We feel things into existence.
That's
We
it.
think things into existence.
That's it.
It is real.
We did.
And so, but it is about us being in line and in tune with who we are and what we
What the
actually
word
want,
says.
to make sure that we are focused to where we are able to make sure that it's able to come in our direction.
Mhm.
The universe, we confuse the universe. The universe is for us,
I believe so.
but we
Because-
confuse the universe. Because the universe brings things about us, but it doesn't come when we want. That's the problem with us. We're impatient.
We have to have patience.
That's what it is. We gotta have patience.
In fact, one of the scriptures said, after we have patiently endured,
Yes.
we have to patiently endure. Because see, this is what's going on with patience. Patience is doing a good work inside of you. In other words, through those trials and those tribulations, is molding and shaping you to the person that can be able to, take the gifts that they become with being patient.
It's training.
It's training.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. It is training.
Mhm.
And it also proving you to be truthful. You know what I'm saying?
Giving you the opportunity to be, because not like
Yeah.
everybody takes it now.
No, you're right. You're right. To be honest and truthful with yourself, with others, and
Mhm.
with God.
Yep.
And that's one thing that we're going to have to learn how to do.
And being concrete in decision making.
Yeah.
Because like I said, the universe works with us, but we always change our minds. To be honest, I know, like, for instance, I always say I want to be rich. I want to be rich. But why am I not rich? I mean, I had to actually study that. And I know some of the reasons why I'm not rich. And it's,
It all depends on what you define rich.
well, all right. Well, I'm talking about financially rich, because I am
Okay.
rich. You're right
All
about
right.
that.
All right.
I
All
definitely
right.
am rich. I am rich.
All right.
But as far for like financially, let's put it that way.
Okay, financially.
But it's like to where like there are things, and I mean we really underestimate the subconscious, because if you say you want to be rich, yeah, you want the money, but then there are things in our everyday actions that contradict that we want to be rich.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for instance, like let's say for instance, if you don't want to be bother people asking you for money all day, then you probably might not want to be rich.
That's true.
If you can't even deal with it now, then you probably wouldn't be able to deal with it when you're rich.
That's true.
And so these are the things that it's like to where those are things to where we confuse the universe at, because we're like, wow, I wish I had a lot of money. But do you really truly wish you had a lot of money? Would you really truly want to take that on?
Yeah, I know what to do with it.
That's what we all say. And so like
because I got a whole look, I got so many. I already look on just pennies. I already put together 2 corporations.
there you go. See,
you see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? On just pennies.
And
But
see?
I'm seeing how many people I could bless.
Yes,
You see what I'm saying?
yes,
If God can trust me with the pennies,
yep,
then I believe that He can be able to bless
you
me
with the
with
dollars.
more.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because it's
absolutely.
not about a selfish thing.
Because you got to prove to qualify for it.
Yes,
You got to prove to be
yes.
qualified.
I believe that God blesses me to bless somebody else.
That's exactly what it's supposed to be, and it's supposed to go hand in hand.
yes.
You know,
Yes.
it's supposed to be interdependence.
Yes.
You know, to where it's like everybody has specialties.
Mhm,
You know, and
mhm.
to where like for instance, no different from like as far as for the doctor or dentist. You know, the
Mhm.
doctor got to go see the dentist to get his teeth looked at. The dentist got to go
true.
to the doctor to get a physical.
That's right.
That's interdependence.
So we all really need each other.
Interdependence. Yes.
Yeah, we really, really need each other.
Like everybody has value, everybody has a worth, everybody has a purpose, everybody has a specialty, a strength, and those are what need to be more upheld, more so when we meet each other and see each other, as opposed to looking at the negatives and the flaws and upholding those. Now, there's nothing wrong as far as for even if you want to point out people's flaws. Now, the way that I would say that is to where at least make sure there's some constructive criticism.
That's where mental health come in. Come on. You should know that.
Yeah.
That's because that's what you deal with, mental health. In other words, you can't keep pulling a person down, stomping on them,
Right.
and expect them to get up and move forward.
And not only that, but you can't, as far as for just point out what's going on with them, as far as for the challenges, without even giving some solutions or offering to help them find some solutions.
That's right. That's right. And all that part would say mental health. Mental health in other words, it's renewing your mind.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a renewing of your mind and transforming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Come on.
Trying to purify the mind.
Yeah.
Trying to get rid of all the hang-ups and the entities that weigh on our soul, and of the ways of this world that weigh on our soul, and get us in a funk, take us out of our natural element or our best performance.
Right. Right.
Performing at our best peaks. And so
yes,
that's where we got as far as for being in tune with our greatness once again.
That's it.
Or trying to find it and
That's
trying to be
it.
around those and also supporting one another of it.
Yes.
You know? So, I mean, when you're around people that are supporting one another, that's why you have successful companies. That's why you have successful corporations and in certain organizations or agencies or whatever capacity, whether it be as far for services.
And right now we are looking for individuals who would like, because we right there, we under our umbrella we have 10 businesses that we are developing.
That's great.
And those businesses is publishing.
Mm-hmm.
Because one thing I'm an author of 3 books.
Okay, wow.
So we do publishing.
Yeah,
So
that's great.
another thing that we have is the construction.
Yeah.
We have an individual that be able to teach them about construction. Then go with the construction is lawn care.
Yeah.
And then from lawn care, landscaping. And then with the publishing, of course, is the TV production, the radio production. And then we have the beauty salon that would deal with barbers and beauticians. And then we have what we call the music part.
Okay,
Part.
music and arts. Or,
Yeah, music and arts.
Mhm.
We use the music and the arts to be able to use as part of the healing.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of the healing. Then we have gardening,
Mhm.
baby do gardening, lawn care.
Yeah.
All of that is going on.
And all those things are therapeutic too, as well as businesses.
That's right.
You know, because once
They
again,
deal with the mentally,
these are ways that
emotionally,
yeah,
spiritually, and physically.
it gives
And-
people alternatives of how they want to be able to vent or
Yes.
express themselves or exert their
yes,
energy. You know,
yes.
and even to where they can turn that, if they have negative energy, to where they can turn that into positive
Positive
energy.
energy. And
Yeah.
of course, we're looking for individuals who want to be able to come aboard
Mhm.
and say, invest in what we're doing, be a part of what we're doing, learn
That
about
sounds-
what we're doing, and say, come aboard.
Yeah, definitely want to learn more about that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
absolutely.
So that's what that's what we're doing. We
'Cause,
have came
that
along.
sounds like a
we-
great initiative. You know,
Huh?
I mean, those are the type of initiatives that need to be in place. And so, yeah, definitely would like to learn more about that because that's exactly what time it is. And
that's what time it is.
you know, yeah,
Yes, that's what we want. That's what our
as far
goal
as
is.
trying to become self-sufficient, because
Mhm.
as far as for, you know, as far for the people that we depend on that are supposed to care about us, you know, such as the government organizations, FDA, AD, you know,
Mhm.
ADA, all these other organizations that are supposed to declare what's safe for us, what should go into our bodies, what shouldn't. It's to
Mhm.
where, you know,
Oh, gardening.
yeah,
Gardening is therapeutic.
it is
It
therapeutic.
is. It has a way of easing the mind, the body.
Well, you're around
and
nature
it's,
too, and you're around
yeah.
elements of nature.
Yes.
And that's one thing that we're missing too. Like, you know, how many of us do actually get to be in the in fields or in
Uh-huh.
a countryside or, you know,
Uh-huh.
in our everyday lives. You know, we
Yes.
used to have pavement or
Uh-huh.
used to be in behind walls, you know,
Uh-huh.
for the
Yeah.
most part. And we're not even going to talk about how we don't even interact with, well, I mean, I definitely can talk myself personally, and where it would be, I see it as a flaw, but I mean, I improve on it. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. But as far for like, you know, being more in tune with nature, as far for even the animals in nature, you know, studying the wildlife around us and things of that nature, and
Mhm.
even looking at them and being into, I mean, even looking at them is something else because they don't need a guide. They don't need a book. They don't need somebody to tell them how to live. They're born, they act off, they're able to naturally live off of instinct. We are the
Yes.
only ones that come that need a guidebook and don't know how to provide for self without somebody doing it for us or somebody really teaching us.
But then God created us that way
Yeah.
because He created the world that way.
Well, no, he did it. It's as far as for certain people who are trying to make it seem like that's how the world's supposed to be.
What
But because we all have the ability
we do.
to be our own, have a governance of our own, or as far as governing our.
But we still live in a world that we're gonna have to interact with each
We
other.
have to interact, but once again, it shouldn't be about stifling somebody's growth. or
No,
stifling
no, we're
certain
supposed to
opportunities.
be able
And
to
people-
encourage each other and push each other up.
'Cause I mean, even look at freedom of speech. Is freedom of speech nowadays? You know, I mean, these are things that dictate the Constitution, as far as to where, or like where the
Right.
Constitution says we have free speech, to where, you know, you gotta be mindful what you say on television. You gotta be mindful what you say in the professional settings. You have to be mindful what you say in the school setting. You have to be mindful what you say anywhere, everywhere. You know, and as far as for now, not to say that you should be able to talk recklessly, but if anybody has anything that they want to visit as far for a topic or subject, if they're able to approach it intelligently,
Mm-hmm.
or in terms of where it's on an educational level or far for helping people to learn and grow,
Mm-hmm.
then fine. You know, as far as
Mhm.
not promoting self-destruction or destruction of others, then.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody should be able to have that opportunity. But folks don't. You know,
Mhm.
people are limited. You know, I know even for myself when I was younger, I would have liked to. I mean, even you know, my sister and myself and my brother, we real good imaginations, and we would have access to a computer. You know, when we were, you know,
Mhm.
as far for young children, we would have probably have made movies and done all types of things too. But number one, they didn't have the type of technology they had, and even
Mhm.
for certain things that we could have probably still done to be creative, couldn't afford them, didn't have
Right.
access to them. You know,
Right.
and so that stagnated our growth in that aspect, or even exploring what could have helped us grow.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so when you're cut off from as far for resources and even as far for different experiences or activities that can
Mhm.
enhance you, as far for enhance your growth, as far for helping you to hone in on your capability. I mean, on your abilities, such as maybe if you play an instrument, you know, maybe you'll find out that your fingers, you'll be able to work your fingers. I mean, maybe you won't stick to an instrument, but you would be able to fall through with something to where now you know as far as how to either master your fingers, master listening to music, you know, mastered as far as for how to play music possibly, or whatever the case is. But you're able to learn through something as far as picking up an activity and following it through and see what the process is and experiencing and seeing it all the way through. As opposed to where if you don't have that, you know, you're just sitting there with nothing. Now all there is to get into sometimes is mischief, you know? And so, and then based on who your influences and who's around you influencing you.
And you've been listening to WRWK FM 93.9 on your radio dial. And I noticed the light's been going off, but we haven't been able to have that opportunity to speak. We learning the new system, huh? You've been learning a new system, and trying to get y'all on the air has been a little difficult. And I want to hear so bad what you want to say, you know. But if you have the Facebook, you can go and put your remarks in the Facebook, and I can be able to still answer it. How about that? Yes, put your remarks in the Facebook, and we can be able to go on that Facebook and answer your questions, or and that way we can at least communicate.
It is definitely important to hear back from the people.
Yeah, we want to hear from you. We want your input.
This is how we all grow, you know.
That's how we grow. That's how we grow.
Maybe I maybe said it's something that might be, you know, value to you, and the bottom line is that you might have something of value that I can learn too.
Yes.
So, goes hand in hand.
Yes, and remember, Dawn Rising be coming on Sunday, August the 1st, 2021, and we want to be able to have you to take a look at it, see how you can become involved with Dawn Rising, and we could even have you on as a guest. But Dawn Rising is people who want change
for the better.
For the better. And say we would say get to that glass ceiling, and then we want to break through it.
For the better. Ain't no ceilings.
Huh?
Ain't no ceilings.
Oh yeah. There is sometimes some ceilings, some things that we got to break through. We got to chip away with it. Break through.
I mean, folks try to make it like they're the ceiling. They try to pose it to the ceiling, but you know, it's still only to where like you finally build yourself up to where you'll finally be like, oh, wait a minute, there's no ceiling here. Oh, well, let me climb on up here then. That person tried to lie to me. They told me there was a ceiling. I couldn't get up there.
She said, but we are coming up on the hour. It's 5:54. We got about 6 more minutes. And if you would like to call, Luke would be able to take your questions. Luke can take your question right now, and you can be able to help us go off with style. So go ahead, call it. That is 804-464-1089. Give us a call. Again, that's 804-464-1089. Give us a call. We want to hear from you. We're sorry if we couldn't hear from you earlier, but here's the opportunity. Give us a call back again. That number is 804-464-1089. We want to hear from you. What are your thoughts as to what we've been told? We didn't cover a lot of subjects today. I want to thank Christopher for being here.
Thank you, and thank you all for listening.
Thank you so much for being here, Christopher.
It's been a pleasure.
It has been, and he is very educational. Very educational.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm seeing if I can be able to find one more question. One more question that would take us on out for today. How about that?
All right.
Oh, you didn't tell us where you work.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to necessarily say that because
okay,
you know, I want to consult with.
Okay,
but I do work in Richmond.
You do work here in Richmond.
Yes.
And you do work in the mental health care.
But out of respect, as far for not consulting with who I'm in as far as for tied with, as far as for the agency.
Oh, I know what one I want to ask you.
Yes.
I didn't ask you this question. why do you think, or do you think, that other races put black men in the same category?
Mm, that's a good question. I mean, I'm sure that everybody, once again, the stereotypes, everybody has their ideas of stereotypes, no matter who they are. I mean, as a black man, I can say it definitely is offensive for some of the stereotypes that they do depict that I see, and that even as far as have been posed on me when I interact with folks of other ethnicities, and you know, um, is to where some folks may think like all you want to do is just party all the time or something like that. It's like, or you just want to always just be chasing girls all the time, or you want to just try to it's all about just getting money and spending senselessly,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, no, that's not it. And even to where that's not a black man at that. That's number one. That's not a black man, and that's not a man at all. Period. You know,
Uh-huh.
a black man is a man who's a man that's black. Who takes care of his responsibilities, betters himself, tries to make sure that he's bettering his community, bettering himself and family, those around him, trying to make sure that as far as for being as far as for a protector of the community as well, as far as for making sure, trying to find ways to provide and making sure to be able to provide, being educated and being able to pass on education, being able to, as far as to resolve issues and matters, being able to mediate, being able to solve conflicts reasonably, being logic, period, just being a logic, reasonable, rational person as much as possible, being a person that believes in the higher standards, higher powers, not necessarily if you don't believe in a higher power, but as far for understanding that the attributes that come with that, as far for upholding those, as far for being a decent and most upstanding human being you can be. And so all those things come with being a man, and as far for being a black man, just being a strong, I would say what's missing as far as being strong and expressing our masculinity how we need to, or what we are capable of, because it seems that, and especially with our children, it's very scary because they're learning to be demasculated early. And so they don't come out here with a backbone. They don't come out here with a sense of feeling like they have to be responsible or to be an overseer or necessarily being as far for a head or a leader, And I mean, even to where and then even to where it is also scary to be a black man to some of them, to some of the youngsters, and even to folks that are even my age today, because they're afraid of being ridiculed, not being accepted by others, just afraid of being who they are, feeling like they're threatened, being posing as far from being threatening to others. But as long as you're not committing any crime, as long as you're not violating anybody, be you. Be as strong as you can be. Be as smart as you can be.
That's it.
And if folks want to challenge that, let them challenge. If they can't compete with it, that's on them.
I like that. Sound like a man of wisdom. That is really good. And you know what? Those words is for any race.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Those words are for any race.
But I will encourage it for the black race, and as far as black men right now, in this day and time, as pertaining to this day and time, because it is that level to where, unfortunately, we are going under the radar. And it is to where, I mean, I'm sure some people are cheering. Don't get me wrong. But as far as for those wondering what's going on and that care to help, it's like to where, like, yeah, it is a crisis.
It is.
And as far as to where, and even for us as black males, we need to come together to be black men. As far as for sharing our experiences and just keeping it 100, as we say, keeping it truthful with one another. And as far for experiences and not judging one another, but building each other, because we're all coming in, as far for at this point of the game, we all need to be coming in with some humility, with some type of pain, some type of hurt, some type of, as far as for needing victory, needing fulfillment, needing closure, needing as far as for being satisfaction. These are the things that we need to all know, that we need to focus on these common goals, to where, I mean, all that other stuff, the petty stuff, goes right out the window. I could care less what kind of shoes you got on. I could, even if you don't like me, I don't care. You don't have to like me. I might not like you, but at least let's be professional and do what's at stake here for the better good of everybody else.
Yes, for the humankind.
Yes. And,
yes.
And for our people, and making sure that we preserve our village, our tribe, our culture.
Right. And we are coming up on the hour.
Oh, yeah.
We're coming up on the hour here at WRWK FM 93.9 FM on your radio dial. And we hope you have had an enjoyable time listening to the wisdom of Christopher Farmer.
Well, thank you. That's all. Hey, I'm in good company, that's for sure. And I appreciate you, Miss Charity. It's an honor. I just gotta say that I've known Miss Charity. Well, seen Miss Charity around.
Can we
We've
get
been kind of interacting for the past 5 years as far as I see you at the library all the time, and
Uh-huh.
we kind of been able to discuss, our works and what we do and what we try to
Yeah.
have, what we have the ambition to do. And
Uh-huh.
it's just fortunate. I mean, it's great, and I thank God for allowing us to be able to come together at this point in time to be able to, make a effort as far as taking the initiative to try to do something better, our community and our people,
Thank you.
and try to make
Thank
sure
you
that we.
so much.
Yes, man.
Yeah,
Thank
because
you.
we see each other all the time at the library.
Yep.
Yes, yes.
And so that's another good place. I think that's another good. I mean, hey, I'll call that a church, to be honest. But wherever we can have gatherings where we can gather with positivity and great energy,
Uh-huh.
got to utilize it and
Uh-huh.
take, because it's like the heart is not hard to find. The pain and the hurt is always around some corner.
Uh-huh.
So when we got the good or got a chance to make good of it, we got to take advantage of it, and to try to make sure that the experiences of life are better than the bad ones.
That's it. That's it. Hello. Yes.
All right, we did have another question from a caller. It was for Chris. It was, what do you do for yourself when you're feeling down? How do you build yourself back up, whether it be from tragedy, loss, misfortune? How do you build yourself back up from that state of I guess lowness?
That's a good question, because we all experience it. I experience it, and that's where sometimes I have to resort back to, like I said, that toolbox. Some of the things I do, as far as personally, I read scriptures. I don't discriminate against scriptures. I read Quran and Bible. Wherever I can find a positive word, something that's going to build me up. I also think about history. This is what we're in at the moment is always temporary. This isn't always the last hear and say. Even just understanding that I'm a part of something, as far as for kind of just getting outside of yourself. Sometimes just getting over yourself. Sometimes knowing that you're a part of something else. You're part of a world. You're part of
Something
a community.
bigger.
Right. And then trying to find ways to build yourself up on that. Even just as far for sometimes maybe you need to make a list of your strengths. Make a list of your accomplishments. Make a list of things that can help build up your self-esteem, to know your self-worth, to even recognize as far for what you have accomplished, to know that you have what it takes to do it, and you can do it again and you got the strength to get back up and do it again. And it's always a cycle in that sense. Having supportive family, supportive friends. I have great supports in my life. Between my friends, my sister's one of my greatest supports. As far as for even like I have friends I've known for 20 years that I consider brothers, sisters. That's family. I got my father. As far as for like I said, other family members. But as far as and also making sure that you notice what type of energy you need to be around.
Yeah.
Making sure that you create a space for you to be in that type of environment. If you notice that you're in a negative environment, you got to take a break from that. You got to get away from that, because you got to always have the balance. Like I said, the negative is always going to come. But if you don't have something good, as far as for something that you enjoy, somebody that supports you, somebody that you can enjoy time with, something to alleviate yourself, and like I said, well, some of the things I do, I know personally, is I like to just go out. I like to be outside sometimes, even as far as for just being outside, just something simple as mowing, like you said, even landscaping. That's why I said that's therapy, because
Yes,
sometimes
it
just
is.
mowing the grass is therapy. I'm out there, I'm just got my own thoughts, you're in nature. You got that noise there, so ain't nobody gonna be talking to you as far for the lawnmower. So you pretty much just left to your own thoughts, So that's the time for reflection. Reading good books. Sometimes you might have to think about some of the times that you had the hard times, what you did back then, and refer back to those things, And if you have a hard time referring back to those, next time that you find something that helped you, make sure you keep a list of those things to refer to.
I like going for walks.
Yeah.
I like reading
Yep. Or go to the library.
all the time.
Yep. Yeah.
Go to the library. call somebody else. You know, sometimes when you're feeling bad, you call somebody else.
Yeah.
That person might need your voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
might be calling to help them when in reality you be helping that
That's so
individual.
true. And that's how it goes hand in hand. And that's why it's
And-
so important to embrace one another as far for
Uh-huh.
seeing the value in one another
Yeah.
instead of looking at the faults and flaws first. Because you
Mhm.
never know the jewel you overlooking when you meet and
That-
interact with people.
That's it.
You know, just because you were caught up on some pettiness,
Uh-huh.
you know,
Yeah.
being shallow. And
Yeah.
so, and I mean,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. Like I'm guilty of it. We all are, you know,
Yeah.
at one point or another.
We
But
are.
it's about noticing and recognizing these things and hoping that, you know, God. I know I pray like God allow me to recognize as far for where I can be improve at
Mhm.
and act on it.
Mhm.
And then to where, you know, forgive me for where I don't recognize it, and please
Mhm.
allow me to bring it to my attention if, you know,
Mhm.
as far as to working upon it. But
Yeah.
that's the best I can do as far for hoping to work
Yeah.
towards and striving towards being a better human being.
Yeah. I like reading.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, read.
That
Oh,
helps.
and I like going to the gym and work it out.
Yeah. And I mean, I do some other things too. Like I like to play some GTA. Sometimes when you mad, you know,
Yeah.
I use that as
Oh,
as
and bowling. Oh my gosh, go bowling. This ball is in
Yeah,
knock
there you
that
go,
head
yeah.
off.
yeah, something good.
Look, cut the limbs off.
I
Not
mean-
really cutting the limbs off.
I mean, I like to go to the gun range, even, you know, things like that, you know, just stuff that. But it's
Yeah.
like to where, you know, you do it in a healthy proportion, and a state of
Yeah.
mind to where it's like,
Yeah.
once again, it's like not doing it with negative intentions.
Yeah,
having-
it's just to get
It's time.
get
It's
off
a
the,
it's a
get
release.
off the steam.
It's a release.
Yeah,
It's a
without
release.
harming anybody else
Right. You just
and
need.
not yourself.
Cause I mean, it just comes to a point where, like, you know, you got some things you want to act on them, but you can't. But
Yeah.
you got to act out in some way
Yeah.
to at least alleviate yourself for the moment, to be
Uh-huh.
able to
Go for walks.
endure to endure as far for the waiting period and the contemplation period to the next step of how you're going to deal with it.
Mhm.
So
And going for long walks.
going for long walks,
Oh
you know,
my
watching
gosh.
movies,
Watching
TV
movies.
shows,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Or just writing poetry. I done
Yep.
wrote a whole book of poetry.
Yep.
Or just writing.
Yeah, so I mean,
Oh, that's good therapy.
as far for any hobbies you enjoy, anything that
Uh-huh.
alleviates you. I mean, it's very
Yeah.
important to just identify those things to be able to refer back to, you know. And I mean, that's important to have a variety of those, because not everything's going to work. Not one thing's going to work all the time
Mm-hmm.
for, you know, one situation or
Mhm.
for every situation.
Mm-hmm. One more question,
Yes, ma'am.
and then we'd probably be going off the air. Do you listen to that inner voice? And how do you know where it comes from? Whether it's God, Satan, or yourself?
Well, like I said, I know it's God. I know it's God when I make it home at the end of the day into my bed. If I end up in jail or somewhere else like a hospital or dead, then I know more than likely it possibly was Satan.
Okay.
But no, in all actuality, it really just goes along with far for knowing what goes with as far as what's in my heart and what
Mhm.
I can live with and what I can't,
Mhm.
and being able to identify those things. And so if a voice is in my head, if a voice is telling me, if I get the idea that's like, you know, do this, or an instinct to do this or do that, then it's like, okay. I mean, I kind of explore it first. You know, I don't act impulsively.
Mhm.
You know, if it's something that comes to mind, it's like, okay, I dwell on it
Mhm.
and ponder upon it, you know, contemplate it.
Mhm.
And then that's how I kind of understand if that's a good thought or a bad thought. And it's like, is it helping somebody, hurting
Mhm.
somebody? Is it helping me, hurting me?
Mhm.
You know, as far for what are the and that's really what it is, looking at it in that sense. What could be the
Right.
possible consequences and effects?
Mhm.
You know, what could be the possible rewards of it?
Mhm.
But it's about weighing those things, and to where are you going to be satisfied with the possible or potential outcome of it?
Mhm.
And so it really doesn't even matter which voice is talking to you. It's based on you making a sound decision of what you believe you really can live with. And even to where you might want to consider, and one of the best questions to always pose on yourself when ideas come to your head is it something you would want? And if it's something that you wouldn't want, necessarily personally, based on certain decisions, that's not something that you might necessarily give to somebody else.
Okay.
So once again, it's about trying to making sure that you have enough self-respect and self-love for yourself to where you'll be able to exercise it upon others.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when that decisiveness comes in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, is this something that I would want for me? Is this something that I would condone for myself?
Mm-hmm.
You know, to where I'm going to possibly promote it to this person,
Mm-hmm.
or, you know, as far as for
And we're going to leave on that tip.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Christopher,
Thank you.
for coming on WRWK 93.9 FM on your radio dial. And that is Building Better Societies.
And well, I mean, I don't know if anybody did want to, but I'll give out my email or even your contact information if folks wanted to ask me anything or
Okay.
connect.
All right. Because he is, like I say, he is a mental health person.
Well, let's
You
do,
may need to look just to call, just to talk, right?
well, let's
Just to bounce some things off.
well, let's just do it once, like, you know, as far for
You want to leave your number?
oh, well, I mean, I'll leave my contact information.
Okay.
Well, you can I'll leave the email, but you
Okay.
can email me at TWOOS. TWOSS2002 at yahoo.com. That is again TWOSS2002 at yahoo.com. Christopher Farmer, and you could just if you have any questions, comments, anything that you need to think that I need that you could share with me that I could possibly benefit from, I'd appreciate it. If there's something that you think I can help you with, you know, definitely willing to do my best on that end as well. So just want to leave lines of communication open in case somebody does happen to want to get in touch or touch base. Thank you, Miss
right.
Charity.
Thank you.
Thank you, Luke.
Luke, thank you.
Luke operating the show here for us
Yeah.
to make sure we're able to get the word out to y'all.
Nate calling in. Has he tried calling in before?